Welcome back, everybody. The History Guy here. This is episode 11, playing on Millennium Dawn, which is a modern-day mod for Hearts of Iron 4. I am the Empire of Germany, and boy, things are going really well right now. I kind of have christened myself the new Holy Roman Empire just because I'm kind of controlling what was once known as the Holy Roman Empire. A couple of things, just to pick up where we left off. Last episode, conquered Italy. Austria is now a part of my nation, and we have now begun the process of marching into the United States. It's all controlled by France right now, but it won't necessarily stay that way. We're going to very soon we've got Boston already. We're very soon going to take New York City, Philadelphia, work our way down to Washington, D.C. once we get down that far. Couple of things that I'm going to do in the meantime, and one of those things is that because I've conquered areas such as Austria and Italy, we now have kind of an issue here in construction where you've got a lot of infrastructure and especially factories that are out of commission because they were damaged during the fighting. So a lot of my construction moving forward is going to be just getting those things back up and running. So with that said, I'm going to change my focus, and down here going to go over to construction repair. And that's going to speed up the process of repairing all those things that have been damaged. And then we're just going to go ahead and continue the process of conquering North America. The armies that I have here in Germany, I've condensed into one. And I'm basically going to put them in as a garrison for now on some of the key victory points in my empire. Looks like Kosovo has joined the war. But most of the focus right now is going to be over here in North America, just continuing to push forward with the divisions that I have. And I'm not entirely sure what's happening here, except that it looks like we just have a second front that has opened up. So we've got to fight on this side as well as down here. So we'll see how this goes, but I think Toronto and New York and Philadelphia should fall within the next month or two, but we'll see. Oh man, as a member of the Buckeye State, I was unhappy to see this. Somebody just nuked Columbus. Now, somebody suggested that I might check here to see in the world tension history if I can find out who is doing the nuking. But I'm not entirely sure if that's the case or not. But let's take a look and see. It doesn't look like I can see that anywhere. All right. Well, we'll continue on. Looks like right now we're pressing toward Toronto first, and there's not a lot of opposition there. Right now you can see that the enemy's only got about 2 million in fielded manpower against my 5.5 million, so there's really very little he can do to hold us off. The United States has now formed a different alliance, the Monroe Alliance. I assume that comes from the Monroe Doctrine, which goes back to the 19th century, which was basically the brainchild of James Monroe, who was one of our early presidents. And his stance was that basically the United States would protect any of the nations in the Americas from European intervention. So I guess that's the idea behind that. So it's February 2013. I just completed improved rocket engines, which I guess in theory should allow me to build something similar to an ICBM. I'm going to go ahead and do advanced rocket engines, even though they're way ahead of time, and it's going to take a while. I just want to get a head start on that. But let's take a look real quick at what I'm able to build now. So we've got Rocket Interceptor 2. So it's a short-range interceptor powered by a chemical rocket engine. I was hoping for some kind of rocket that I can launch nukes on, but apparently that's not what it's saying those are. So maybe ICBMs are not a thing I can build on here. It would appear not. All right, so seeing a few more nukes go off. Philadelphia got nuked. Norfolk, Virginia, down here got nuked. Major naval base. We were right on the doorstep of New York City. I've taken most of New York State now. We're not really that much closer to Toronto, but we're kind of surrounding the Canadian and other forces. It's just Canadians, it looks like, at this point. Everybody's kind of guarding their own territory. The Americans are defending their territory. The Canadians are doing the same. So we've encircled and we're going to destroy some of their divisions there. Canada's down to just 85 divisions. They've lost over 1 million, which is just massive, massive losses for the Canadians. So is 2 million for the U.S., but the U.S. has like 10 times the population that Canada does. So it's actually a more significant loss for Canada. But right now, not a whole lot of luck attacking New York City. We're going to see if we can't get that up a little bit, get some more divisions going down there to help so we can conquer the Big Apple. No, not quite there yet. But that's okay. We're going to, looks like, end up coming around here and hitting Toronto from the other side. Alright, we're making the final push on Toronto. I've got 10 Canadian divisions isolated up here. We're going to be destroying them. It's really, I think, a matter of time. Once Toronto and a couple of these other victory points fall, Canada will be out of this war. And then we turn our attention fully on the United States. Right now, my front in the United States is kind of stalled because the organization of my troops is too low for them to advance. So we're working on building that back up, get the supply status up a little better. Once that happens, we'll be able to press ahead. But let's go ahead and watch here and see if Toronto falls. Canada's down to just now 70 divisions. And the fielded manpower of the enemy is right around 2 million at this point, and they've lost almost 8 million. So I'm thinking that my long-term goal at this point is I'm just going to try to conquer as much of the world as I can. And that's kind of how I'll wrap this series up, unless there's something specific that others of you would like to see me do. I think that'll just be kind of the goal at this point, is just to conquer as much of the world as I can. Obviously, there's Toronto. Toronto's fallen. Obviously, there's, I'm hardly a huge world power. I've just got the right allies and had the right circumstances. I don't still have that huge of an army. I've got, 48 divisions in North America and 46 in Europe. So I've really not even got quite 100 divisions yet. But Canada, surprisingly, Toronto didn't move the bar all that much. I guess we're going to have to move west and take some of the other cities like Edmonton, Vancouver, etc. So I guess Canada may last a little longer than I expected. It's May of 2013, and I finally got enough air superiority that I can start nuking in the United States. So we're going to send one to New York City. I'm sure they've already been hit, but that's where he's got some forces. And yeah, you can see they took a big hit to their organization with that nuclear weapon. I'm thinking that should help my ability to advance on them. In the meantime, we've just researched another class of carrier. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just basically say, okay, let's finish up the one that we're working on, and then we're going to upgrade to the next class of carrier. And I'll start building some stronger Navy units, surface Navy, in addition to all the subs that I've been working on. And we'll see if we can't take New York City here fairly soon. So it looks like what it took was 2 more nukes that I dropped on New York City to effectively end his ability to defend that city. Reduced their defense to next to nothing. And in fact, it looks like I've just basically destroyed those units when I marched in. So we're going to take New York City here in June of 2013. Looks like China wants to do a Lend-Lease. I've also created another army of panzer divisions, and I'm sending them over to the North American theater. I'm only leaving 29 divisions over in Germany, which I think is fine because I really have no threats over there at the moment. So just let's take a look at the current situation now at the end of June. Canada's down to just 65 divisions. They're still not quite to capitulation. United States is down to about somewhere around 130, 140 divisions. And the overall enemy strength has gone down again. They're down to just between 1.9 and 1.95 million. So we're going to keep pressing ahead, but I think that there's going to be a breakout soon. And I'm going to start marching across the eastern seaboard of the United States before too long. Oh, I didn't drop that nuke on Philadelphia. That was somebody else. August 2013, Philadelphia and Washington have fallen to my victorious forces as they continue their march. And it looks like my own home, right over here in Northeast Ohio, is about to be overrun by the combined might of Germany, China, and France. Canada still putting up a little bit of a fight up here, but very little at this point. We're isolating and destroying pockets of the enemy. Overall enemy strength is down to just 1.73 to 1.78 million. Canada has just 52 divisions. It's just really a matter of marching over to their other victory points and taking those. And I did just see another nuke go off, this time in Nashville. We're going to take Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Columbus soon. Richmond, Virginia is going to fall. Detroit is now behind my lines. We'll push towards Chicago. And then we just got to get west to take out Canada. Well, as I suspected, I hit a point where the U.S. just kind of lost their ability to hold. They fought valiantly for a long time in the Northeast, but they're down to like 50, 60 divisions now, and the breakout has begun. I've overrun Ohio, eastern Kentucky, eastern Tennessee, all of North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia. So I've got 2 of my 3 armies that are currently operating in the North American theater are pushing west in the United States. We're going to go try to take their new capital, which is Houston, Texas. If we can get all these victory points here in Texas, that may push us toward capitulation. Meanwhile, I sent my 3rd army up here through Canada to go try and take Vancouver and see if we can't knock the Canadians out of the war. I've got 27 nukes now, even though I've used quite a few. Canada's down to just 42 divisions. The United States only has between 62 and 76. Just 1.5 million men left in the opposing army. And most of the divisions are actually Eritrean divisions at this point. So China has sent a lot of their divisions to come help with this. And they still have not taken Taiwan, which is what started all of this. They do have Vietnam and, of course, India, but that's about it right now. So Russia, of course, is the big elephant in the room at this point that is kind of the lone superpower that stands in the way of world dominance for me since China's on my side. So at some point we're going to have to deal with them, but that's going to be long after we're done dealing with the United States and we gather up all of that military might that comes from those factories. Almost December 2013, we are marching into Texas. We've taken Dallas and Fort Worth. Austin will fall soon. So will Houston and eventually San Antonio. If you look here, we've marched really far to the west. There's a good possibility that the United States capitulates before Canada does, just because at this point I've spent so much of my focus in the United States trying to take their main points of victory. You can see that Mexico has sent some divisions to help defend the U.S., and at this point, I'm really facing more Mexican units than I am American units, at least in this area. So I think real soon we're going to see the U.S. out of the war. Right now, they are down to just 45 to 51 divisions, and they're 2/3 of the way toward capitulation. There's only 1.3 million left in the defending armies. And I think most of those don't even belong to the U.S. at this point. So we'll kind of watch this. We have taken Houston now. We've isolated some Mexican and American units. They're going to be destroyed. We'll take Austin, San Antonio. We're going to start pushing toward Denver. And hopefully my right wing, basically, which is up in Canada, can kind of catch up. Obviously, it's a little harder to march through Canada, especially in December, than it is to go through mainland United States. It's January 2014, and we are watching the end of the United States. We've just about marched on the West Coast. Phoenix is about to fall. And then it'll just be California and Los Angeles, which is currently the acting capital of the United States. Las Vegas has fallen. U.S. is just about there. They're at 94% toward capitulation. Canada's not far behind. They're at 85%. And just about 1 million men left in the opposing armies. And you have to wonder how many of those belong to Eritrea in the United States. And the Chinese state, Taiwan. Because U.S. is down to just 15 to 17 divisions. Canada is down to 40, but there's probably not many men left in those. So we're going to watch here in just a second as the U.S. capitulates. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and tell these divisions to get there, take Los Angeles, and end this thing. A lot of victory points over here on the West Coast in California. This should just about do it. Yep, I think they're there. There we go. The United States has capitulated. There seems to be no way their military is able to continue the fight. So there's that. Of course, it's all under control of France, but not for long as we go into the Treaty of Anchorage, which apparently is currently the acting capital of the United States. So now we start making our demands. We could puppet the U.S., which might be the easiest thing to do. But I think at least for now, that's not the way I choose to do this, but I obviously can't take all these states. So we're going to start with the East Coast. I don't really want Maine all that much. I definitely want Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York. Give me Massachusetts, Connecticut and Rhode Island, Virginia, Maryland, West Virginia. I want to go for the resource-heavy areas if I can. Oklahoma's got a lot of oil. Texas obviously has a lot. It's not even going to let me take all that, really? Okay. Well, we don't need Maryland that much. Or West. Okay, I guess that'll be enough for now on that turn. I probably want to make this stuff connected, though. So we'll start seeing how much more it allows for me to have. Oh, looks like somebody else took California. That's quite all right. They can have it. Satellite the Confederate States. We could liberate the Confederate States of America. That's actually kind of awesome, but I actually don't have the ability to do that right now. Although we could turn around and liberate them later on our own if we want. Alright, nobody wants Maryland, huh? Okay, well, I'll take them. Everybody's carving out their pieces of the pie, so to speak. Alright, we're just about there. We're going to pass on this turn. Looks like there's not much left to be had. I'll just say I'm done. I'll let somebody else take the rest if they want it. Alright, so the United States has been allowed to continue. So we see California is its own sovereign nation in the Berlin Alliance, commanded by their new president, Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is awesome. We've got the New England states under Chris Sununu, who I think may have been a New Hampshire governor, because I know that's where the Sununus are from. We're still working on Canada a little bit, but obviously you can see that we've now got a nice little piece of North American real estate. And obviously a lot I've got to do here to kind of reset now, especially with trade, because man, I have lots of oil now. So a few things I've got to do here as far as trade goes. It looks like maybe we're not going to get enough from Indonesia right now, so let's try trading from China for all of this. So So I'm going to go ahead and get in here and reset a little bit, and then we will march on and finish off Canada. Okay, it's February 2014, and Canada is just about to follow the United States in defeat. We're going to march these guys into Vancouver, and I think that is going to be all it takes to finish this thing off. I've gathered as much of my forces as possible. I'm just going to start sending them all at Vancouver. As you can see, just 1 million men opposing me now in this war, which is very soon to come to an end. I think once we finish off Canada, maybe China will finally go after Taiwan and finish them off. But it's just a matter of moving troops through the Canadian winter right now, which is kind of slowing things down. But here they go. They've just broken through. It's going to happen pretty quickly now, I think. And then we'll start divvying up Canada. There it is. Okay. So China's got most of the input into this one right now. We can. Oh wow! I guess we're divvying up India as well at the moment because Canada was part of all of that. So wow. I could take all of Canada if I so choose, but I'm not entirely sure I choose that. Obviously, there's a lot of production power here in these regions, and that's kind of what I want to focus on. There we go. Honestly, I think that's about all I want out of all of this. But it looks like I can do more if I so choose. A lot of oil up here. Yeah, let's go with that. Man, I don't have to worry about resources anymore, that's for sure. Looks like we're still divvying up India, but I'm really not too concerned. I'm pretty content to let China have all of that. I've taken what I want from it all. Chinese Raj was puppeted. So who's left in this war at this point? Let's take a look. Basically, at this point, we're at war with Austria and Belize, who don't exist anymore. It's the African coalition. So we're going to have to go after Kosovo, Eritrea, and Taiwan. So we're looking at 3 different nations on 3 different continents. Eritrea is over here. And there's really not much to them. Ethiopia could deal with that, I guess. Well, maybe not. They've got 96 divisions in Eritrea. Not sure how that happened. But it looks like we're ready probably to go ahead and start bringing a lot of our troops home. The People's Republic of Canada has been puppeted by China. That's pretty interesting. So it's time to regroup and assess the situation and see where we decide to go next. All right, so a lot happened in this episode. I'm actually going to wrap it up here in just a minute. So it's a shorter one, but pretty action-packed, really. So what I've done now is I've changed my North American theater over to a garrison that's going to just basically kind of defend the southern border and the coast. We'll get them put over there. At some point I may go ahead and puppet out some of those states just so I don't have to manage as much territory. But for now, I kind of like having the resources and having the factories that can help me to ramp up my army, which still does not quite number 100 divisions. It's right around 100 right now. So the rest I'm shipping back home to the German theater. I'm going to slow down for a little bit, build up my army again, and start looking to southeastern Europe, to some of these nations that aren't yet part of my alliance, with the idea of slowly moving toward a showdown with Russia, which Russia will have a rough time because they're going to have to face down China on this side and Germany on this side. So we'll see how that goes, but for now I'm going to wrap it up right there. I'd love to know your thoughts, your comments, your questions, your observations, your criticisms, any and all things. Hit that thumbs up if you would. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And check out some of my other videos. We will see you again real soon. Thanks for watching.